Trina, hey girl, hey. I ain't got started yet. It said my connection is unstable. Let me see. Let me go ahead and post a link for Facebook. Let me see. Let me write this. Alright. Before we even get started, girl, let me go ahead and post this link. Just in case YouTube. Like the grapes that thrive on a vine. Let's see. Link. Yeah. Okay. Got the link. Okay. Okay, y'all. Auntie Shalom. Haji Shalom. Okay.
If I call
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, she gotta get her babies out to school.
Huh?
She gotta get her babies out to school. Okay. All right, beautiful people. Happy Wednesday. It is May 25th, 2022. Day 117 of year 4, reading through the books of the Line of Prophets, another 4-year consecutive day count. Day 1135. Today we jump back into the Lord's, how about to say the Lord's first book? No. It's the Lord's fourth book in the OAHSPE, page 112. And then we're going to hop on over to the meditation book on page 150. All right, y'all. I wanted to say the Lord's first book because last night I went back to it, rereading over some other stuff again. All right, so let's get started. Father, we thank you for another day. We ask you that you help us to learn and understand a little bit more truth than what we did yesterday. And give us the wisdom. Help us to develop the wisdom. Because that's how wisdom is given. Most of the time it's developed. Sometimes it's given to you by somebody else who's developed it already. But help us to develop the wisdom to use it appropriately. All right. Mom, Shalom, O great spirit, creator of this spirit and our physical body. Let us bring our spirit into oneness with you. Hallelujah. All right, y'all. Page 112 at the bottom. The Lord's fourth book, chapter 2. The Lord came down to man on earth and spake to man in 2 ways, by the voice as man speaketh, and by the spirit as the soul answereth to soul. The Lord said, the voice of man is air in motion. By the mouth of man cometh the word of knowledge. But back of the voice back of the air in motion, back of the mouth which giveth the voice, there lieth the soul, which it is that causes man to think of speaking. And the soul lieth in the ocean of the Creator, who is God of all. The Lord said, that speaketh to thy soul, O man, teaching thee wisdom and good works, reproving thee for thy faults, and enchanting thee with the glories of all created things, is the voice of thy Creator. And that is the road by which the Lord thy God cometh to thee. The Lord said, behold, man hath attained to written knowledge. Now shall he have books, and learn to keep records, after the manner of the angels in heaven. Then God sent angels down to man, speaking both by the soul and by the voice, in different places, and to different rabbis, teaching them how to make books of skins, and of bark, and of cloth, for the graven words and images which he had taught man. In these days, the lands of Japheth and Shem and Ham were inhabited by millions of Ehuans and Gans, but the countries lying between them were inhabited by the Ehuans only. And God spake to the people of Ham, saying, behold, there are two other countries inhabited by kin of your kin, flesh of your flesh, and they are Gans also. And they speak and write with panic words, even as ye do. And the Hamites inquired, how far are the two other countries? Where are they? The Lord said, gather together 1,000 men and women, and I will lead you to your brethren, for whose forefathers were also saved from the flood, saved by the sacred little people, the Ehims. Provide ye oxen and asses and all things requisite for a journey of 4 years, and I will lead you. The Hamites obeyed God and provided themselves as commanded into 2 companies of 1,000, each equipped they themselves, and started on their journey for Japheth and Shem. So remember, Japheth, according to this, is China, and Shem is the land of India, all right? What the current places that we call today, all right? Then spake God to the people of Japheth, saying, behold, there are 2 other countries inhabited by kin of your kin, flesh of your flesh, and they are Gans also. And they speak and write with panic words, even as ye do. And the Japhethians, the people of Japheth, the Japhethians said, how far are the 2 other countries? Where are they? The Lord said, gather together 1,000 men and women, and I will lead you to your brethren, whose forefathers were also saved from the flood, saved by the sacred little people, the Ehims. Provide ye in all things requisites for a journey of 4 years, and I will lead you. The Japhethians obeyed God and provided themselves as commanded. Into 2 companies of 1,000, each equipped they themselves, and started for Ham and Shem. Then spake the Lord to the people of Shem in the same way, telling them of Japheth and Ham. And they also equipped themselves in 2 companies and started for Ham and Japheth. Thus provided God these 3 separate peoples to go and visit one another, and all in the same period of time. And God said unto them, ere they started, very fierce and savage are the Ehuans who inhabit the wildernesses on the way. Behold, they eat the flesh of both man and beast, but they will not harm the Ehims. Therefore, O my beloved, on your long journey, take with you 20 of Ehims. Through the Ehims can the Lord your God speak all languages, even the language of the barbarians, the Ehuans. Leave all things in the hands of the Lord God. So it came to pass, after a journey of 4 years, the migrants from each country came to the place of their destination, and by their written and spoken words knew they one another, and they called themselves the 3 children of the ark of Noah. And the Lord said unto them in each of the countries whither they had come, Provide records unto the work of God, for these journeys shall be remembered to the end of the world. Now, what's interesting about that is when you go and read the book of Jubilees, right? And it said, okay, so this story talks about the flood, how people were gathered up into multiple ships, not just one ship. Remember, the Bible does this all the way through. They take everything and condense it down to one person, like one place, to whereas this expands everything. And it wasn't one boat that saved them from the flood. It was multiple boats with multiple people, because there were multiple righteous people still living. So all of them were saved, right? And so after the flood, it said that the Lord, according to the OAHSPE, it says that the Lord blew the 4 ships to the 4 corners of the earth. Remember, it was 5 because Waga or Pan had been sunken. That was the whole reason for the flood, to kill off Pan, right? Because of the wickedness there. But the righteous people were pulled from all places. And then he... Yeah, and they were already like a mixed people.
There you go.
Yeah, they were all mixed, right?
You know, people come from that whole theology of we come from one.
Yeah.
So you got, well, albinos went over here. And,
yeah, it leaves out a whole bunch of different people and things that just don't make sense going with that theology, right? So I'm just like, I see your logic in that, but I don't know that I can quite get with that just yet. But if you read the book of Jubilees, chapter 8 through 10. Matter of fact, I want to say it's Jubilees chapter 10, verse 15. Don't quote me. But definitely, you should read, if you haven't read, start at Jubilees chapter 8 and go all the way to like Jubilees chapter 12. And in that, it talks about after the flood, how Noah sent his sons out to the he sent them out to the 4 corners of the earth. And that's when they began to inhabit lands. This talks about how they came together, which they did there, but it doesn't say it doesn't say that they were scattered, then they came back together after the flood. It says that they were together and then they spread out after the flood, right? So I can see the information that's similar, and it looks like information that's missing or information that was like removed to sum up the story. And Noah wasn't one person. It was you could say it was the group of people all together who came together, and as they came together, it was the Ark of Noah, right? Okay, let me read that again. Leave all things in the hands of the Lord God. So it came to pass, after a journey of 4 years, the migrants from each country came to the place of their destination, and by their written and spoken words knew they one another, and they called themselves the 3 children of the Ark of Noah. Shayla, hey girl, hey. And the Lord said unto them, in each of the countries whither they had come, provide records unto the work of God, for these journeys shall be remembered to the end of the world. And in all these countries there were made images of stone and copper, and engravings thereon, and engravings thereon of the children of Noah, and of the flood, and of the sacred tribes, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Remember, out of this, it was left out the lands of Gautama right here, right? Which are the Americas, North and South Gautama, but that we know today is North and South America. God said, these shall be preserved as the first names of these lands, and it was so. And after first, it has reference number 2, and it says, as the first written names. Okay. Chapter 3. For 2 years, the migrants tarried in the countries they visited. For 2 years, the migrants tarried in the countries they visited, going much about, showing themselves, and relating a history of the country whence they came. Thence spake the Lord to the migrants in their respective places, saying, behold, the time is come for your departure. Gather together, O my beloved, and return to your own country, and there relate all the glories that your God hath shown you. So they departed and returned to their own respective places. And behold, it took 4 years to accomplish the journey. Now during the travel of the migrants, the Lord spake to them every day through the Ehim priests. Through the Ehim priests spake the Lord unto them. Okay, I'll read that again. Now during the travel of the migrants, the Lord spake to them every day. Through the Ehim priests spake the Lord unto them. The Lord said, Keep together, O my beloved, I will lead you, ye shall not be lost. Nevertheless, the journey was so long that many lost faith and were not heedful of the words of God, and some of them strayed off amongst the Ehuans, the barbarians, and were lost. Of the 6,000 migrants, there were lost 10 tribes, in all 386 people, men and women. Some were lost in one place, and some were lost in another. That is interesting that they will say 10 tribes were lost. Hold on. Makes me think about the stories from our the Hebrew roots about the 10 lost tribes, right? It's interesting. We can keep reading. Of the 6,000 migrants, there were lost 10 tribes. In all, 386 people, men and women. Some were lost in one place and some in another. God said, Sing ye songs of lamentations to my chosen who are lost, the faithless in Jehovah. For this also shall become a matter of record to the end of the world. Nevertheless, a time shall come when the Lord your God shall reveal the mystery of this day. So when the people had returned to their respective places, behold, they all sang songs of lamentations for the tribes that were lost. Okay, and after lamentations, it has reference letter C, and that is on page 117 at the bottom. It says, the Ezra Bible includes an account of the 10 lost tribes. Further on in OAHSPE, it shows how Ezra obtained his vision from the Egyptian and Persian records. In OAHSPE, it is also related as to what became of the lost tribes who became the Parsians, in fact, which sprang the greatest Zarathustra or Zoroaster, 1882 edition. Will, shalom, shalom. Okay. Verse 11, back on page 115 at the bottom. God said, I have shown you the far-off people. I have marked out the road. Keep the road open. Keep the travel open between the great countries I have shown you. Every 11 years shall one expedition start to the far-off countries. And if perchance ye find my chosen, bring them home. And on all the camping places of your journey shall ye build an altar to the Lord your God. In a circle ye shall build it, and the congregation shall sit in the circle thereof, but the priests shall stand in the midst. And behold, I will speak in the mouth of my priests words of wisdom and comfort. But in all your journeys keep aloof from the Ehuans, the barbarians, the man-eaters. For they kept not my commandments, nor preserved they their seed through the circumcision.
Man-eaters.
Yeah, they were literally flesh eaters. They ate man and beast. Yeah.
That make me feel like I also need to eat. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I tell you, I got this certain feeling of, yeah. I'm sure they mixing people meat with beast meat. They do. That's what I think the Impossible Burger is. I think it's people meat.
Hey.
Let me tell you, because I'll tell you, when I bit into it, I mean, this is not recent.
How you gonna know?
No. You heard Jonathan the other day at the birthday party?
Who?
You weren't there yet. Me, Jonathan, and Tara was talking about that because I was explaining to her how, certain things I just can't eat anymore. Okay. But we started talking, and she asked about the Impossible Burger. Oh, okay. I was like, well, when I was eating it, it started when we was going to Red Robin.
Okay, yeah.
Remember?
I remember you.
So we ate there like 3 times, and I would always get the it was called the Scorpion Burger. It was a hot burger with jalapenos, all the hot stuff on it. And but it was Impossible Burger. It was fine, it was nice and juicy. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best Impossible Burger that I've ever tasted, right? But my sister told me when it first came out, she said, I don't know about that. Something ain't right about that burger. You know, there is, and it's different from the Beyond Burger. Like the Beyond Burger is all like the redness of it come from beets, and it's really like plant based. The Impossible Burger, it has a few more items in it which represent chemicals to me, and some things it probably has a code name for other stuff that I'm just assuming. Yeah, Leisha, thank you. But my brother Jonathan, he said, yeah, he couldn't get into it. He said the first time he had one, he bit into it the first time. He was like, I don't know. He said, but then the second bite, he said he couldn't even swallow the second bite because he had been in a fight with somebody early in life and he bit them, right? So sometimes when you bite people, not that you should make a habit of biting people.
He bit somebody.
he said. Listen, when he bit into that with that second bite, it took him back there. He said it tasted like human flesh, right? Like it did, because he fighting the guy, had to get him off of him. The only thing he had available before he beat his tail was to bite him. That's how he got the dude off him. He bit him as hard as he could, So yeah, so that's what was it. I was like, Jonathan, I kid you not. Like the third time, we ate there like 3 times. But then the 4th time when we went, I got the burger and I couldn't, and it was something about that time, and I had already been feeling like a little weird, because we was doing a lot of house hunting and stuff, and we had ate out like multiple times in like 2 weeks. And like that 4th time we went, when I bit it, I'm gonna say I took the first bite, I swallowed. The second bite, I'm like, maybe I should have ordered something else. I probably done had my fill of this burger. The 3rd time I bit it, I just kind of moved it around my mouth, and I just got like this, and I looked for a napkin, and I couldn't. I threw all the rest of my food away. I'm like, something is wrong about this, and my stomach was turned the rest of the day. Jen Grand Rising. So that's the. I mean, we could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's all overactive imagination, right? But I would never. If I go eating something processed again, another burger, I'm gonna have to make it myself, right? But even now, I have like this intolerance towards certain type of beans. I can't even eat them, because it has like this. It has an unnatural taste to me. It's weird, y'all. It's really weird. But anyway, said that to say, we think it's people meat. A mixture. It got some ground up people in it somewhere. Jen, we talking about the Impossible Burger. Okay, so we read this verse right here, right? It said on verse page 115, chapter 3, verse 14 at the bottom. But in all your journeys, keep aloof from the Ehuans, the barbarians, the man-eaters. And a few verses before, it said that the Ehuans, they ate they not only ate beasts, but they ate people too. So kind of like be aware of them. And that's how we got in this whole conversation. My husband was like, wait a minute, people eaters, So yeah, that's how we started talking. Yeah, my sister said that's the reason why I stopped eating McDonald's before I got rid of meat altogether. Yeah, because you see all kind of crazy stories about McDonald's and what they actually put in their ground up meat patties, right? They said some of everything. Yeah. Yeah, Trina, you can't stomach the Impossible Burger either. Yeah, it's just something. Yeah, it's weird, y'all. I don't know.
It's not made for you to eat.
Yeah, it's really not.
It's a money maker. That's all it is. These new ways is about making money. It's not about
a new way to kill you.
That's all it is. You know what I mean?
But we want to make you think you're doing something a little more healthy, but it's really not. Okay.
McDonald's all back over again.
Look, he didn't hear me when I read that comment, Leisha.
Oh.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, well, oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back. Okay. I'll go back to verse, I started verse 14. That's where we stopped. But in all your journeys, keep aloof from the Ehuans, the barbarians, the man-eaters. This is definitely going to be in the title today.
Right.
For they kept not my commandments, nor preserved they their seed through the circumcision. But they mixed with the Drooks, which are the ground people, and went down in darkness, barbarianism. Keep ye away from them, O my beloved. Carry with you on all your expeditions, Ehim priests, the sacred people, the mound builders. In all your journeys ye shall encounter your brethren, coming and going, who dwell in the far-off countries, that ye may distinguish them. Keep secret the sacred password and the rites of my kavah, order. And after all, at the very beginning of verse 17, where it says in all, it has reference number 3. And down at the bottom it says, in all your journeys. It says the same exact thing. Okay. All right, y'all. Chapter 4. Oh, did I hit something? Trying to authenticate user. Cancel. Cancel. Okay. Renee said, Audrey said, Alicia literally went to McDonald's the other day, looked at the burger and said, this don't look right, and didn't eat it. Yeah, I'm telling you. Even if we can't pinpoint a lot of stuff, when we're in search of truth and aligning our bodies up, like we'll get these inner knowings about things, right? And I would say gut feelings. I've learned to go with gut feelings. It'll never steer you wrong. We call them gut feelings, but it's the inner leading of Yah.
If you don't listen to that inner self and be in tune with yourself, you ain't gonna keep listening to that voice.
Oh yeah, it'll dry up and you won't be able to hear it. That's why y'all hear my husband. He said people don't understand, like when that inner voice or that inner self, you hear that speaking. If you make a habit of ignoring it, you won't be able to hear it for long, right? Yeah, because you shown that you don't pay attention, right? So
you've shown a deaf ear.
Yeah, you've turned a deaf ear to what was trying to lead you on the paths of truth. Trina said she ate McDonald's in about 6 years. Yeah, girl. Okay. Chapter 4 will be at 26 minutes. Okay, chapter 4. Oh yeah, we're gonna finish. This is the last book in the Lord's fourth book. Okay. Chapter 4. Okay, babe.
I'm gonna call me after you put that in.
Okay.
I'm gonna call you because we still gotta discuss.
All right.
I love you.
All right, babe. Love you too.
Call me again, babe.
I will.
All right, sure.
All right. Okay. Chapter 4. Hear the word of thy God, O man, and be considerate in thy little learning, interpreting the records of the ancients, rather by the Spirit than by the word, wherein it was constantly commanded in the ancient sacred writings to avoid going down to destruction, and they obeyed not the commandments of the Lord. Behold ye the light of your God in this day. For the Ehuans, even before the flood, were in the first place born capable of everlasting life. But they mixed with the Drooks until the seed of the spirit of eternal life became exhausted, and they brought forth heirs incapable of self-sustenance in heaven. Hence it was said of them, they went down in darkness. Now afterward a new race of Ehuans was brought forth, and they were at first capable of all light and of everlasting life. But they also kept not the commandments of the Lord, but also mixed with the Drooks, the ground people, and they descended rapidly on the road of everlasting death as a race. James Brown, Grand Rising. Look, they all as a race, they went down into darkness. But the Lord your God created a new race, the Gons, capable of an upward inspiration. And he gave unto them the same commandments, to preserve their seed from the races beneath them, lest they go down in darkness also, to which end thy Lord gave unto them certain rites and ceremonies and passwords, in addition to the circumcision, which would enable them to distinguish with whom they should mingle according to the commandments of God. Behold ye then the testimony which I lay before you, that ye may perceive the wisdom of my ways. For it will be said by some that there is a law of evolution, whereby man ariseth from a lower to a higher state as the earth groweth older. But I say unto you, there is no such law. save but by the labor of thy Lord and thy God. Through their angels, man riseth not upward, but he goeth the other way. In which matter, behold, I have left many nations and peoples before you to this day, who are on the downward road. And ye have corporal records before you, showing you that in times past the same countries were inhabited by a higher race. For thus Jehovah created man to go as readily down to the mountain as up it. Behold, all resurrection cometh from above, and all inspiration cometh from the Lord and his angels. And after inspiration, it has reference number 4, which says at the bottom, aspiration. Behold, all resurrection cometh from above, all inspiration cometh from the Lord and his angels. For man, being in the flesh, goeth rather to the desires of the flesh than to the spirit. As the light of the sun causeth sleep to pass away, so doth the light of Jehovah, through his gods and lords and angels, cause the soul of men to awake to the possibilities of everlasting life in the exalted heavens. This also have I, thy Lord, proven in the world, that they who fall from the light of the Father lose their symmetry and beauty of proportions. Behold, in the time of Thor, man considered not the shapeliness of his spouse, nor the mold of her face, nor the clearness of her voice, nor her wit, nor conversational powers. By all stratagems and devices, and rites and ceremonies, have the gods and lords labored to make man mindful in the way of resurrection through the tree of life. But even in this day, behold, the mother bartereth off her daughter to a rich man, and the man seeketh a spouse of wasted flesh for the sake of gold. Sound like the book of Amos when y'all was telling Israel how he was sick and tired of them. He said, y'all sell y'all own grandmother for a bottle of booze. I just kind of summed that up, right? Trading women for a glass of wine. I'm just like, whew. He said, I'm sick of all y'all. But even in this day, behold, the mother bartereth off her daughter to a rich man, and the man seeketh a spouse of wasted flesh for the sake of gold, and they bring forth heirs of crime. And man crieth out, he cannot be a good God that created these. But I say unto you, they keep not my commandments, they have gone astray in the wilderness. Be wise, O man, from that which is before you. Remember the times of the ancients and the labor of the Lord your God. In the beginning of the cycle of Thor, the Lord opened up many ways for the deliverance of the tribes of men on earth, and man prospered in the way of God for a long season. Then darkness came upon the races of men. Millions of them returned to a state of savagery. And angels of darkness came upon the earth, verily taking upon themselves the semblance of corporal forms, and dwelling with mortals, and engaging in practices whereof it is unlawful to speak, to write, or speak, so that at the termination of 3,000 years, the lands of the earth were covered with darkness, and Jehovah cast a veil over the face of the sun, and it shone not in brightness for many years. And after sun, there is reference letter D, and at the bottom it says, this reference to a veil is metaphorical. Here the earth entered a nebulous region which dimmed the brightness of the sun. And that is the end of the Lord's 4th book. Shalom, Janie of Yah. All right, y'all, that was good. What we at? 33 minutes, and we done with the Lord's 4th book. Okay, so tomorrow so that was the heavenly account and the earthly account that we got finished. Remember, the heavenly account, the top book was the book of Thor. Then the earthly account during the simultaneous period of when the book of Thor was actually happening. That's it. What was I saying? I just forgot my whole train of thought. But anyway, the heavenly account and the earthly account went on at the same time. The heavenly account was the book of Thor. The earthly account during that time of the book of Thor was the Lord's 4th book. Okay. So tomorrow we will start Book of Osiris. Now don't let that trigger you, especially if you had certain teachers teach it, right? We're gonna get into it, right? Book of Osiris, son of Jehovah, god of Lotson, an Ethereal world in the ark of saying, known in the high heavens as Osiris, son of Jehovah. All right. So we'll pause right here. And that's the heavenly account, the book of Osiris. But the earthly account is the Lord's 5th book. And I think that's longer. 3. The Lord's 1st through 3rd, they've been pretty short. This one I think is the longest. Yeah, this is definitely longer. Okay. All right, so we get into that tomorrow. So we're done with that. That's good. So let's hop on over here to the meditation book. And we left off on page 150. Oh, yeah, the daily schedule for yoga practice. Okay, middle of the page. A practitioner of yoga must be able to integrate the 3 main practices of yoga into daily life. This means that you need to begin adding small amounts of time for prayer, repetition of the divine name, which is also called a haiku. Exercise includes proper breathing exercises, study of the teachings, silence, selfless service, meditation, and daily reflection. This also means that you will gradually reduce the practices which go against yogic movement as you gain more time for Shetty, right? Remember, Shetty is just study of divine principles. Okay. Below, you will find an outline of a schedule for the beginning practice of yoga. The times given here are a suggested minimum time for beginners. You may spend more time according to your capacity and personal situation. However, try to be consistent in the amount of time and location you choose to practice your discipline, as well as in the time of day you choose to perform each of the different practices. This will enable your body and mind to develop a rhythm which will develop into the driving force of your day. When this occurs, you will develop stamina and fortitude when dealing with any situations in life. Listen, this is kind of like, girl, I'm telling you, you got to read the whole thing. So developing, we kind of talk about this all the time. So y'all know how I give y'all the analogy. You got to get your dog under control. When I say get your dog under control, I'm talking about your flesh, right? Okay, so your dog would represent your flesh, and the dog's handler or the dog's master would be the person who owns the dog, right? Kind of like a horse and a rider. The horse would be your flesh. The rider, the one who's guiding the horse, would be your spirit, right? It could also be, you can use the analogy of a vehicle and a person driving a vehicle, right? The car would be your flesh. The driver would be the spirit driving the car. Robin, Asha, Shalom. Listen, how many of you get in your car and let your car drive you around? First of all, it's impossible unless you get a smart car, right? How many of you go to walk your dog if you have dogs, even if you got a pit bull or some huge dog? It could even be a tiny dog. How many of you, within reason, some people just out relax and let the dog lead, right? If the dog has been trained, mind you, if the dog has been trained. But if you got an unruly pit bull, how many of y'all seen movies where you got some small, frail person out walking a dog, and a dog see a squirrel take off running and dragging you all through the dirt and mud and oceans, and you holding on? A lot of times that's what we're doing with our spirit. We letting our freaking dog run us through the earth and have no control over it. It should not be that way. It should not be that way. That's how many people walking here on the earth is walking around here. Spirits are screaming, "Hey, stop it, you stupid dog," right? Spirit getting all dirty, wet, exhausted, everything, because it can't control the friggin' dog. We have to learn. The practice of meditation will help you to control your friggin' dog, right? You don't let dogs lead you. You don't let your flesh lead you. You don't let your car drive you. You get in trouble. You don't let your horse take off and do whatever. You ever seen a rodeo? You ever seen a rodeo? You know how when the horses get super excited and the rider loses his balance and now it's hanging off to the side like this, and sometimes they may fall off the side and their leg get caught up in the stirrup and they're flinging around, the horse jumping and kicking you in the head. That's what we're doing to our spirits when we let our flesh lead us, right? We can't get it under control with the eating habits, the whatever it is we're doing, right? We need self-mastery, meditation, the practice of yoga, the proper teaching about the practice of yoga so you can follow it. It teaches you to get your dog under control, get your animal under control, control your horse, right? Everybody's here. Everybody has a vehicle. Everybody has a dog. Y'all need to get it under control, right? Sometimes we let the dogs get out of control. Y'all ever seen a fat animal? It looks like the most miserablest thing. We take sympathy for them animals. It's like, you know what? It ain't your fault, baby. It's your master letting you get out of control, right? Sometimes our spirit let our bodies, our flesh get out of control. And we just fat as we want to be, right? I myself included. I look at nature, I'm like, bruh, you was out of control. Like, what does Proverbs say? We look like a city broken down with no walls, right? That's what we look like. It's terrible. And we can tell, we can look at things like that and people like that. Like I said, I myself included, because I think about it. So I'm like, Pam, pull yourself together. You do not need that piece of chocolate. You're supposed to be fasting anyway. What are you doing? Like, seriously, I got to talk to myself sometime. I'm like, listen, you will not control me. Right? And sometimes it's this ongoing struggle with my flesh, because the flesh want to do what the flesh want to do. If you hadn't noticed by now, is your spirit is a separate entity, although they're joined together at the hip, like you're handcuffed together. You ever seen a cop handcuff himself to a thief, somebody that he got to bring in? We are handcuffed to this flesh, and it's a constant fight. It's a struggle. Somebody gonna win. You better let your spirit subdue your flesh, right? And there are ways to do that. Listen. You may spend more time according to your... Hold on. Let me just go back. Below, you will find an outline of a schedule for the beginning practice of yoga. The times given here are a suggested minimum time for beginners. You may spend more time according to your capacity and personal situation. However, try to be consistent in the amount of time and location you choose to practice your discipline, as well as in the time of day you choose to perform each of the different practices. This will enable your body and mind to develop a rhythm which will develop into the driving force of your day. When this occurs, you will develop stamina and fortitude when dealing with any situation of life, right? So when you begin to train your body, let's just talk about the appetite. If you begin training your body, you can look at this. We'll just look at animals, right? Say you go get an animal, whether you get them from the shelter or it's born, give it to however you acquire the animal, and you train the animal according to the schedule of your house, that animal know when it's time to eat. The animal don't know how to read the clock, but there's a clock on the inside of the animal. If you begin to do something at a certain time every single day, what happens, if you understand anything about your digestive system, there's a time that you set with your body when you eat every day. So if you're used to eating at noon every single day, the ghrelin in your system, in your digestive system, will begin to start bubbling to get your body ready to receive the food that you receive at this time every day. That's when you start getting, I wouldn't call them hunger pains. It's just ghrelin and the acids forming, getting ready to digest that food when it comes down here in a few minutes, right? Dogs are the same way. The same process happened with them. And so they know it's time to eat. And if you're taking too long, they're going to go get their bowls. They're going to sit there. They're going to beg in your face. They might start barking at you, right? Same thing our flesh start doing, right? But if you take control, you can adjust the time as you see fit. And it really only takes a couple of days to get the process going, right? Even if you're fast, when I talk about how if you need to start a longer fast, If you don't start your digestive system, not even with a sip of water, you could literally dry fast the entire day. Matter of fact, you could, if you don't put water in your mouth, I mean, you can brush your teeth, but if you don't swallow anything to activate your digestive system from the previous night of fasting while you were asleep, your digestive system will stay asleep. Now, you may get a hunger pain about the time you normally eat, but it won't be as savage and you won't be as ravenous as you would be if you had eaten something or drinking something early in that day, right? It'll just come just like it's like slight, but then it'll just pass. And you can dry fast. You can dry fast a whole 24 hours on into the next day in 48 hours. Then you can actually do 3 days at 72. But the point of 72 hours, I found out 72 hours, about 72 hours, then a little bit of weakness will kick in. But that weakness will only be there for a day. Depending on how well you have or haven't been taking care of your body, it'll determine that period of weakness. But the body, at that point of weakness, the body is kicking into, let's say, survival mode, right? But then you cut off, during that process right there, your body is cutting off all the mechanisms to receive food here, right? It shuts all that off because it thinks it's in starvation mode. So now it begins to preserve the body. As it preserves the body, instead of, remember, you've tricked your body already. There's no food coming here. We might be starving, so we need to go emergency measures. And it begins looking for its food inward, right? And then all of a sudden, day 4, day 5, you get this boost of energy out of nowhere, and you can literally straight water fast for 40 days or possibly even longer. Some people have been known to do that longer than that, simply on water, right? Of course, you will lose all this weight because the body is getting the food that you've already got stored up on your fat body everywhere, right? Myself included. And that's why it's there. That's why bodies store, especially if we're constantly eating, we're teaching our bodies to store all this food because our bodies can't process this much food in a short period of time, especially if you're eating 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 meals a day, including the snacks, right? The body is, okay, well, we're preparing for starvation. We must be getting ready to go through hard times, so store all of this. And that's how we get extremely huge and we look like the what you call them? Is it the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? We start looking like that. We don't even look like ourselves. That's why when you lose all the weight, you look like wait a minute, hold on. You lying. Let me see some pictures. You look like a whole different person because you are. You got, especially if you eat meat, you got other entities, flesh in you and on you. All right, y'all get it. Below, you will find an outline of a schedule for the beginning practice of yoga. The times given here are a suggested minimum time for beginners. You may spend more time according to your capacity and personal situation. However, try to be consistent in the amount of time and location you choose to practice your discipline, as well as in the time of day you choose to perform each of the different practices. This will enable your body and mind to develop a rhythm which will develop into the driving force of your day. When this occurs, you will develop stamina and fortitude when dealing with any situation of life. You will have a stable center which will anchor you to a higher purpose in life, whether you are experiencing prosperous times or adverse times. In the advanced stages, spiritual practice will become continuous. Try to do the best you can according to your capacity, meaning your circumstances. If your family members are not interested or do not understand what you are trying to do, simply maintain your practices privately and try to keep the interruptions to a minimum. As you develop, you may feel drawn towards some forms of practice over others. The important thing to remember is to practice them all in an integrated fashion. Do not neglect any of the practices, even though you may spend additional time on some versus others. Practicing spirituality only during times of adversity is a mistake of those who are spiritually immature. Okay, let me read that again. That's good. Yeah, sometimes you see it like People only call on God when they get in trouble. But when time going good, God, who? Yeah, who? What? I have not even heard that there be such a person. Not knowing that even those stupid words you just spoke out of your mouth came from him. Practicing spirituality only during times of adversity is the mistake of those who are spiritually immature. Any form of spiritual practice, ritualistic or otherwise, is a positive development. However, you will not derive the optimal spiritual benefits by simply becoming religious when you are in trouble. The masses of people only pray when they are in trouble. Then they ask for assistance to get out of trouble. What they do not realize is that if they were to turn their mind to God at all times, not just in times of misfortune, adversity would not befall them. As you progress through your studies, you will learn that adversities in life are meant to turn you toward the divine. And that's what a lot of people don't get. They just, oh, woe is me and I can't win for losing, right? That should be even worse. That should get your attention. Okay, hold on. Let me consider my own life and my old ways. What am I doing? What am I not doing? Right? But a lot of people, they completely X themselves out the picture and they're quick to blame everybody else for everything that they're going through. When everything that you're going through is because of the decisions you have chosen to make, right? I say 99% of the time. But there are some things like accidents and stuff and traumas that have happened that are beyond your control. But I would say this: if your mind is turned toward the Creator at all times and not just in times of adversity, you wouldn't even run into them situations because you would get this inner knowing, right? This inner guidance. Don't go there today. Take this route, right? And you will literally, without even knowing, you be averting a lot of catastrophe because of the inner leading and guiding. I'm just saying, I know that from experience. And when you violate that voice, that inner knowing, oh, how dearly we pay. Oh, how dearly we pay. Listen. Let me just go back. That was just good. Let me just read this little paragraph again. Practicing spirituality only during times of adversity is the mistake of those who are spiritually immature. Any form of spiritual practice, ritualistic or otherwise, is a positive development. However, you will not derive the optimal spiritual benefits by simply becoming religious when you are in trouble. The masses of people only pray when they are in trouble. Then they ask for assistance to get out of trouble. What they do not realize is that if they were to turn their minds to God at all times, not just in times of misfortune, adversity would not befall them. As you progress through your studies, you will learn that adversities in life are meant to turn you toward the divine. In this sense, they are messages from the divine to awaken spiritual aspiration. However, if you do not listen to the message and hearken to the divine intent behind it, you will be in a position to experience more miseries of life and miseries of a more intense nature. Oh, you ain't get it the first time? Turn up the heat just a little bit more on sis. Or bro gonna get it this time. Turn it up 10 times higher. Right? Okay. Dana. Is it still frozen? Yeah, it's going in and out. Yeah. Because when I see it freeze on Facebook, it freeze on YouTube, which tells me friggin' hotel need to get their stuff together, right? Their Wi-Fi, it really sucks. When I need it to work, it be, you would get a retest. You absolutely would get a retest. Oh, you didn't pass it the first time? Different test. New test. Like you know how you go to take tests in school? This is just like this. You go to take tests in school and you fail it, right? Then the teacher's like, okay, you can retest, but you think you smart. You still don't go study. Hey, I'm gonna take all these answers. Then you could cheat. You get somebody's test who got 100% or close to 100%, and you can study all their answers. But what you didn't count on is that the teacher wouldn't just be rearranging the questions in a different order. She or he is going to give you different questions all together. They're going to ask you the same questions, but in a different format, to see if you really understand the principles you're being tested on, right? So you ever go through something in life and it seemed like You keep running into the same issue from the time you open your eyes on the earth until the time you are now, you realize, oh my gosh, why do I keep running into these same problems? It's because, my dear friend, you're not passing the test. So you have to keep going through it over and over and over again. You can't move past your last point of comprehension. That is in anything in life. You can't go on to algebra if you don't understand the proper order of equations, right? You can't move to multiplication if you don't. Well, technically, you possibly can. Okay, let me say this. You're going to have a little bit of time, but you could get it just by rote and memorization with the multiplication, right? But we're going to really find out if you really understand these separate principles, these separate lessons we was teaching you individually. We're going to see if you really understand it. So we're going to put it all together in a big equation. And by the time we get here in our life, relationships, the job, this is the big equation. As we were growing up, we learned about addition, and then subtraction, and then multiplication, and then division. Now we're going to look at fractions a little bit, right? And let's look at the order of equations. And now we're about to give you an algebra problem. Let's see if you've been paying attention all your life, right? And a lot of times we have not. And we just freaking out. Oh, I always run into these niggas, women doing this and treat me this way, or the women, you always running into gold, men running into gold diggers, or what have you, or you always have a crazy boss. Maybe you got a crazy attitude, which is why you need a crazy boss to alert you to your crazy attitude and your way of thinking. How many of us really think that we are the problem? None of us think that we are the problem when 100% of the time we are the problem. Okay. So when you keep running into these issues over and over again, you should stop and consider your ways. Okay, what lesson am I not learning? Because I keep running to this over and over again. What's the problem, right? And you got to figure it out. And so at that point, you should sit and revisit every situation where you run into the same issue, whether it's different relationships. Find out when the relationship started going awry. What was happening? Did you go into a shell? Did you become whatever? Literally start investigating all of these things. And as you begin to investigate each situation, like literally write it down, you'll begin to find the obvious variables in each of these equations. And most of the time it's going to be you, right? Because if you keep running to the same issue with different people, it's not them. It could be a part of them, but it's you. You're always the number one variable in all these equations that went wrong. Is you. Pull you out, examine yourself, your own ways. Okay. The basic schedule of spiritual practice. Okay, we're doing breathing exercises. Okay, we'll finish this breathing portion right here, the basic schedule, and then we'll pause because it's going to get into the divine name. Okay, and that's where we'll pause. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Common denominator. Can you tell I had issues with my equations? I can't even remember the names. I said variable, but y'all got what I'm saying. The common denominator, right? All right. Page 151. Basic schedule of spiritual practice. And it's number 1 through 10. Number 1 has 1A and 1B. Okay. 1A. Deep breathing using the proper breathing technique. 1B, alternate breathing exercises, 10 minutes in the AM and in the PM. Number 2, prayer, 10 to 30 minutes in the AM and in the PM. 3, exercise, 10 minutes in the AM and before study time. Number 4, repetition of the divine name in the form of your chosen Heku mantra, 10 minutes in the AM and 10 minutes in the PM, which also, remember Hekau mantra or chanting, or like the church will say, praying in tongues, right? It just devote 10 minutes to it, right? Because it's a gradual buildup. If you do it consistently, you will see the buildup happening over that period of time, right? Just like if you spent like 24 hours, it's like you get a big influx of spiritual gifts happening. Your eyes pop open, your ears pop open, your spiritual senses, they all pop open. But that's because you spent dedicated, focused time for extremely large amount of time. Will it pops open, right? But it doesn't stay, right? It will come on immediately but it doesn't stay. It'll fizzle back out, which is why that's good. Sometimes like we saw that happen when we were doing like the all-nighter prayers a few years ago. That happened because we were praying like we started at midnight and we prayed all the way to 6 a.m. and about 4 a.m. spiritual gifts pop open and eyes open. I could see things and I could hear things and I could smell things, right? I'm not sure that happens with everybody. A lot of people I know it does. Some people, I don't know. I don't know, right? But I know from my personal experience, that's what happens with me. Or you can do it gradually. That same process will happen, but it happened gradually if you're consistent over the days. And that is actually better because it's a sustained awakening, so to speak. And it's like the hearing, it'll happen all day. It is like you're building up. It's like you turn on the light and you keep it on because you keep the energy going every day, which is why a lot of times it's just like out of nowhere. Like I heard y'all speak to me and I just know it's like throughout. It's like because it's a gradual buildup that I've constantly practiced. So it's like everything is always on. At least everything that I know to cut on at this moment is on. Some things I don't even know about, I could be lingering. I'll figure it out as I keep going. Dana said, can you post a picture of this? Don't have the book yet. Yeah, I'll reshare it. It's this, the meditation book by Dr. OAHSPE. I'll reshare it. I'll post it on Facebook and in the community section. And under the video. It don't let me put videos in the YouTube comments, so I'll put the link, right? And I'll pin it to the top. Yes. Is the exercise the yoga poses? Yeah, you can call them yoga poses or you can just even stretch your body. But yeah, it's talking about the yoga poses, right? But it's just what the yoga poses really are, y'all. I mean, and it explained that you can get the whole book where it talks specifically about that. And it gave you like a little blurb in here. But it's really aligning your body, which when they're sitting Indian style, it's not because, oh, this is the spiritual way and you won't hear spiritual guidance unless you're sitting just like this. No. What's happening is you're sitting in an erect form that allows the energy centers through your body to properly flow so you can breathe. You don't want to impede any of the energy that could flow through your body. So there are different positions that they found that they just happen to call yoga poses, which accomplish that purpose where you're not all bent out of shape and cutting off energy, because different ways you turn your body will determine how the energy flows through your body, right? And depending on what you're doing, there are different poses. Some poses are more comfortable than others, right? So you can choose whichever one you want. You can sit Indian style. You can lay flat on your back, right? Laying flat on your back accomplishes the same thing because your body is erect, which allows the energy to flow unhindered, right? So that's simply what the yoga poses are. It's to help the energy flow, right? Ain't nothing super spiritual about it. It's just simple. You got a kink in your hose. Straighten it out, my G. That's all it is. That's all it is. You ever go cut on your water hose and there's a kink somewhere the water stops flowing? That's all the yoga hose. The yoga hose. We should call it a yoga hose, right? That's all the yoga poses do. The yoga exercises to help you unkink the line in your rope or the line in your hose so the water can flow unhindered. That's it. Yeah, okay. So number 5 was meditation practice. 10 minutes in the AM should be practiced after exercise, prayer, and meditation of the divine name. Number 6, study of the teachings, reading 30 minutes per day. Number 7, silence time, 30 minutes per day. Number 8, listening to the teachings. Choose an audio recording of a yogic spiritual preceptor and listen for a minimum of 30 minutes per day without any distractions if possible. If presented by a qualified teacher, I skipped the whole line. If possible, go to a yogic spiritual center, and in parentheses it has Ashram Wat Temple, where teachings are presented by a qualified teacher of yoga wisdom. If this is not possible, form a study group wherein the teachings may be discussed and explored. And if you ain't got that, get a book. Dr. OAHSPE has been proven to teach it in the way it should be taught. So get his meditation, get his yoga. I literally have his entire library, with the exception, I think, about 3 books, and they're on the list, right? But literally, you would gain such an education from the wisdom he's learned over all the years, and he shared. I ain't gonna say he freely shares it with you, but you might as well say he freely shares it with you. Yeah, he does. Dana said Dr. Ashby has several of his meditation sessions on YouTube. You can do that. Cut on one of his YouTube videos where he's talking about it. Just listen to that's called listening to the wisdom teachings. Whether you read it in a book, you listen to it, you go to a spiritual preceptor, teacher, whatever you want to call them, right? Just get it into you, right? Okay. I'll read it again. Listening to the teachings. Choose an audio recording of a yogic spiritual preceptor and listen for a minimum of 30 minutes per day without any distractions if possible. If possible, go to a yogic spiritual center, ashram, wat, which is W-A-T, or temple, where teachings are presented by a qualified teacher of yoga wisdom. If this is not possible, form a study group wherein the teachings may be discussed and explored. Number 9, selfless service as required whenever the opportunity presents itself. Right, at any time you can be of help to somebody else in need. That's what it's talking about, selfless service. I mean, do it because they're your fellow human being, right? Okay, and do it without the expectation of something being done for you in return or broadcasting what you did to let people know. Because if you do that, you should not even done it at all. And we still know that you're selfish at that point. So just don't even. Number 10, daily reflection. Remembering the teachings during the ordinary course of the day and applying them in daily living situations to be practiced as much as possible. The suggested times given above are the minimum amount you should spend on daily spiritual practices each day. Whenever possible, you should increase the time according to your capacity and ability. You should train your mind so that it rejoices in hearing about practicing the teachings of yoga instead of the useless worldly activities. Follow this path gradually but steadily. Once you have established a schedule of minimum time to devote to practices, even if you do 5 to 10 minutes of meditation time per day and nothing else, keep your schedule if at all possible. Many people feel that they do not have the time to incorporate even ordinary activities into their lives. They feel overwhelmed with life and they feel they have no control. If there is no control, it is because there is no discipline. If there is no control, it means there is no discipline. Talk about the ride on the horse. If there is no control, there is no discipline. Or our bodies being all out of control. If our bodies are out of control, even if we're walking around looking like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, that's essentially our spirits doing like this, and our spirit is just like being shaken all over the place. You probably look at that every time y'all see somebody now. Y'all probably had that. And that's gonna convict me every time I look at my own self in the mirror. Pull it together, Stay Puft. Pull it together. Get this horse under control. All right, let me stop. But I'm so serious, though. I'm so serious with myself. I had to stop and consider my own ways. Listen. Many people feel that they do not have the time to incorporate even ordinary activities into their lives. They feel overwhelmed with life and feel they have no control. If there is no control, it is because there is no discipline. That's funny, Dana, those wiggly wind men in front of businesses. They be blowing the air machine, the tall yellow one. They could be different colors. I see a lot of red ones, right? They waving, the wind blowing. That's us. If there is no control, it is because there is no discipline. If you make a schedule for all your activities, spiritual and non-spiritual, and keep to it tenaciously, you will discover that you can control your time and your life. As you discover the glory of spiritual practice, you will find even more time to expand your spiritual program. Ultimately, you will create a lifestyle which is entirely spiritualized. This means that every act in your life will be based on the wisdom teachings, ma'at, and therefore you will not only spend a particular time of the day devoted to spiritual practices, but every facet of your life will become a spontaneous worship of the divine. Oh, that is so beautiful. That is my golden life. Listen. Look, hold on. Let me read that whole long sentence again. This means that every act in your life... Hold on, no. I got to go back a sentence before that. Okay. If you make a schedule for all of your activities, spiritual and non-spiritual, and keep to it tenaciously, you will discover that you can control your time and your life. As you discover the glory of spiritual practice, you will find even more time to expand your spiritual program. Ultimately, you will create a lifestyle which is entirely spiritualized. This means that every act in your life will be based on the wisdom teachings, Ma'at, and therefore you will not only spend a particular time of the day devoted to spiritual practices, but every facet of your life will become a spontaneous worship of the divine. Okay. And last, we at 109. I said we was going to read this. Okay, it's the breathing. So it's a part of this before we stop it off at chanting the divine name. Okay, proper breathing. We'll be done like 3 minutes. Probably 5. Proper breathing. Most people in the modern world do not know how to breathe properly. Most people, especially males, have learned to breathe by pushing out the chest in a manly or macho fashion. This mode of breathing is harmful for many reasons. The amount of air taken in is less vital and the amount of air taken in is less, and vital cosmic energy is reduced and becomes stagnant in the subtle vital energy channels, resulting in physical and mental diseases. The stagnation of the flow of energy through the body has the effect of grounding one's consciousness to the physical realities rather than allowing the mind and body to operate with lightness and subtlety. That is also true. This is not like a whole sex education class, but even being intimate with your spouse or significant other, whatever, if you do your breathing properly, you will actually begin to feel, okay, so the whole act of sexual intercourse anyway activates your root chakra, right? The red chakra, the red energy down at the base of the spine, the tailbone, right? Because that's being constantly probed and activated. But what happens when you breathe deeply, you can actually begin to feel the energy rise in your body. It'll start at your feet and you will literally feel it raise up, right? Your feet may get hot, warm, or whatever, but you will begin to feel that energy move up your body if you control your breathing. It is literally activating those chakras, thereby activating that process of the two energies becoming one and connecting to the divine, where you can drop a prayer right in the spiritual realm. I'm telling y'all, it works. Belly breathing or abdominal breathing belly breathing or abdominal breathing massages the internal organs and develops life force energy, Ra, Chi, or Kundalini. They had that in parentheses. So life force is Ra, Chi, or Kundalini, or in Christianity they call it the Holy Spirit, but they make it totally like a third person, but it's really just talking about the energy of the great creator, which flows through us, a Holy Spirit, right? Okay. It will be noticed that it is our natural breathing pattern when we lie down on our back. Instruction is as follows. A. Breathe in and push the stomach out. B. Breathe out and pull the stomach in. Okay, so A, it has this diagram, right? So this is wrong, right? So A, yeah, breathe in. It got the arrows coming in, breathe in. Push the stomach out, right? And B was when you exhale out, the stomach should go in. Now I'll take a picture of this and this proper breathing thing too. It will be noticed that it is our natural breathing pattern when we lie down on our back. Instruction is as follows. A, breathe in and push the stomach out. B, breathe out and pull the stomach in. This form of breathing is to be practiced at all times, not just during meditation. It allows the natural life force in the air to be rhythmically supplied to the body and nervous system. This process is indispensable in the achievement of physical health and mental spiritual power to control the mind. Meditation, just like sometimes, like if you get stressed out, somebody just calm down, breathe. That is not just, oh, calm you down. No, when you calm down, it helps to get the energies flowing, especially if your mind is all clogged up with what you're being stressed out about. It will help. It's just energy bottled up. Breathe, G, breathe. Hold on, come. Woosah, woosah. Get all this static going on up here and just and have it flow. It just start going in circles and stuff. It's not going to the proper place. You need to breathe. Right? And you do that for a few minutes. And a lot of time when you're frustrated, you actually begin to feel better because something literally is happening on the inside of you when you breathe properly. Think about people who get all tensed up, holding their breath, children crying about to pass out, you know. Yes, Dana, yes. She said, whoa, wait, we should be filling up our stomach instead of our lungs. Yeah, it'll pass through our lungs, but we should see that with our stomach going in and out. If you still don't get it, lay down on your back, act like you about to take a nap, or just relax. When you begin to fall into that natural pattern to where you're not overthinking things and your body is just trained to do what it does, you know, before your spirit takes its leave for the night and go all off playing and learning in the astral realms, your body is still itself and it's just going to do what it's been trained to do, right? It's just going to take over and the breathing is just going to happen. But pay attention to how the stomach goes in and out. Watch babies. Right, that's the normal pattern, the way of breathing that we should be practicing at all waking hours of the day, right? So, okay. The following postures are used for the practice of meditation. You do that when holding breath for underwater. You can stay under longer. I haven't tried that, like, in long periods of time trying to stay underwater, so I can't really speak to that. But swimmers probably know all about that. But because I think y'all swimmers too, so I don't be trying to hold my breath underwater. All right, but yeah, I get what you're saying, though. Okay, so this is it. I'm going to show you these postures right here, right? The following postures are used for the practice of meditation. At the top left is the lotus. I'm trying to hold it to where everybody can see. Okay. This is the lotus position, right? It's right here. Here, they call this, at the left, the seated position with the arms rested on the thighs. And a lot of time, believe it or not, I actually meditate like this or like this because sometimes my knees don't be acting right? I mean, not yet. I don't have knees like Meg the Stallion. So sometimes even sitting cross the leg like that and my tailbone on the floor, it don't work for me right now. Until I get my dog under control with some things, this don't work. So I'm sitting in the chair. I'm just like, bump this. I'm just going to lay down on my back, right? Lord help me, right? Or you can also do it like this, which still requires you to bend your knees and put all your weight on your legs. And I tried that a couple times and I can only stay in that position for maybe like 2 minutes before my circulation gets cut off, right? So, but this posture, below they call it the corpse pose. And this right here, above left, Amun-hotep, son of Hapu, ancient Egyptian philosopher, priest, and sage, at 80 years old in a meditative posture. Right here. Okay. All right, so this is what we're going to pause at today. I'm going to take pictures of this, and I'll take a picture of the words and stuff. That way you can actually read it. And, oh shoot. Well, y'all going to see me. That ink mark across the page, I didn't mean to do that. But I'm going to put that in there so you can, just in case you forgot. And I'll take pictures of like the daily schedule of yoga and basic spiritual practice from, and that's going to be words explaining all that. That way you got a good, a good paragraph to remember what the picture is representing. All right, y'all. So with that being said, they say sit on 2 stacked blankets It's easy for me just to go lay down. I know, that is so lazy. It really is. Sometimes I ain't got the strength to go looking for blankets, which I know my kids done took and strewn throughout the house somewhere, because every time they get cold, they got to get a new blanket. Just like every time they get thirsty, they don't choose to take a cup that they done already used and set on the counter, put in the sink and wash it out. They have to go get something brand new, right? So my blankets are always everywhere. Yeah, I'm laying down on my back, G. I'm sitting down in the chair if I'd already made my bed up. All right, that's enough silliness for today. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out. It is Wednesday, May the 25th, 2022, day 117 of year 4 of reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1135. We read OAHSPE pages 112 all the way to page 121. What's that? I'm sorry, no, not 121, because that ended, 117. 112 to 117, ending the Lord's 4th book. And then we read the meditation book, pages 150 all the way up to page 154. All right, y'all. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get out of here. May y'all bless you in everything that you do. May all the information that you take every day from here and from everywhere, may you be able to internalize it, assimilate it, and apply it to your life where needed, if needed, or store it away for times to come when you may need it down the road. May y'all bless you with the wisdom and understanding and know how to do that. And all you're getting, get understanding, because if you don't have understanding, you will not develop wisdom, right? Get the raw data and facts, assimilate it, internalize it, understand it, know what it is, right? That's called understanding, right? Understanding means I can teach you about it. And if I can teach you about it, it means that I now have the capacity to develop the wisdom, because I can teach you and I can apply it, right? And we can then begin to test it, see how it works. Ooh, don't go that way. Yeah, because this happens here, here, here. Something was missing from that element. Okay, oh, that's what we forgot. Boom. Oh, snap, it worked, right? Wisdom happens here after the testing process. Right? Trial and error with the information, the raw data and facts that we've gotten assimilated. Now we're testing it out to actually see how it works. May wisdom explode in your life because you understand that process. And all of you get understand that may Yahuwah, the great spirit, the great creator, the cosmic, eternal being, right? The universe, our great creator. May he lead you and guide you in all truth every day, right? And may he give you the wherewithal. That's what you need. You need the wherewithal and the courage to develop and change on purpose. May that be you all your days. And not just you, but your entire family, the lineage of posterity. May that be the gift and inheritance that they receive from you, that they see discipline, that they see determination, that they see consistency. Pass that down along with the wealth, because if they don't get that with the wealth that you build for them, they're going to lose it all anyway, and they got to start all over. So may you be blessed with all those things simultaneously and be able to retain everything. I love y'all. I see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.